I love going fishing, but have you ever gone fishing for people? Hey guys, it's me again, Douglas, and so I love going fishing with my grandpa. He's got like a little lake behind his house, and we go out in a little boat, and we throw our lines in, and we catch the fish, and we just sit there, and sometimes we talk, and sometimes we just fish, and we sit quietly, and it's really nice. I like it a lot. But the other day, my grandpa asked me something that was really confusing. He said to me, he said, Douglas, would you like to be a fisher of men? Which was really confusing because when my grandpa and I go fishing, we take this little thing called a lure. It's a fake little fish looking thing, and it's got hooks on it, and you throw it into the lake, and then you pull it in with your fishing rod, and you kind of wiggle it around so that the fish think it's alive. And then if a fish thinks that it's alive and they want to eat it, then they take a bite, and then they get hooked on the hook, and then you pull them up, and then you cook them and eat them. And so my grandpa asked me if I wanted to be a fisher of men, if I wanted to go fishing for people. I was like, no. But then he was like, oh, no, let me explain what I mean. And so then he started to tell me about how Jesus talked to his disciples, and he told them that they were going to be fishers of men. Because the people that followed Jesus, several of them were fishermen. But they didn't fish like my grandpa and I do. My grandpa and I, we just go fishing sometimes, maybe once or twice a month. And we do it with the hooks and the lure and all that. And we get, maybe we might get a couple fish, 2 or 3 fish a day. But these guys, Jesus' disciples, they fished for their job. Their whole job was fishing. And so they'd all get on this big boat, and they'd take nets with them. They didn't fish with hooks, they fished with nets. And they'd go out into the sea, and they'd throw their nets out, and then after a while, they'd pull their nets in, and there'd be some fish in the nets. And this was their job. They did it almost every single day. But instead of being fishermen, Jesus wanted them to come be his disciples. He told them they weren't going to be fishermen anymore. They were going to be fishers of men, fishers of people. And this fisherman metaphor might not make a whole lot of sense for me and how I go fishing, but the way they went fishing, it makes a whole lot of sense. Because as Christians, we want to tell as many people as possible about Jesus. We want everyone to know about God's love for them and Jesus' sacrifice for them. So just like Jesus' disciples went out every single day to go try and catch some fish, we should be going out every single day sharing the love of God, sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And the other thing about that made some sense about being fishers of men was the disciples, when they were fishermen, they'd throw their nets out, and sometimes they'd catch some fish and sometimes they wouldn't. Some of the fish would swim around the net, and some of the fish would swim into the net. And that's kind of the way it is with us too. When we share the good news of Jesus, is not everybody's going to believe it. No, not everyone's going to become a Christian if we tell them about Jesus. But we can still go out there and we can still show God's love to them. We can still share the good news every day. Just like a fisherman going out in his boat and throwing out his nets, we can go out into the world and show people God's love. So my challenge to you guys today is that you would be fishers of people. You would be fishers of men. And that you would go out every single day and tell people about Jesus and show people God's love, not just by telling about Jesus, but by living your life in such a way that they can see God through you. You would shine a light into this dark world. Because the more people that we show God's love to, the more people we tell about the good news of Jesus Christ, the more people will be saved. The more people will get to know God personally in the way that God wants them to know him. And that's such an awesome thing. I want to be a fisher of people, and I hope that you will